My wife humiliated me in front of my entire team during a product launch. But 2 weeks later, I took over the project and she cried in front of everyone. You call that leadership? She laughed. No wonder they promoted me instead. I've worked in tech for almost 18 years, mostly in product development and user experience design. I'm not flashy. I'm not the guy who stands on a stage and sells dreams. I'm the one who makes sure the dreams actually function. My name's Ian, and I'm 43. I live in Chicago, in a neat 2-story house in Oak Park with my wife. Well, ex-wife now, Selena. Selena and I met at a UX conference in Denver about 12 years ago. She was the energetic type, always leading conversations, always with a new pitch, a new plan, a new sprint strategy. I like that about her. I still think a part of me does. We both ended up at Arcosies, a mid-sized but high-impact tech firm based in downtown Chicago. We climbed the ranks pretty much side by side. But things started to shift around 2 years ago when our company landed a multi-million-dollar project with a global healthcare tech giant. Codename, Vega. It was a career-defining opportunity, and they handed the reins to Selena. The day she got the promotion, she came home with champagne. She danced around the kitchen, kissing me on the cheek like a lottery winner. I was proud of her, genuinely. But a part of me felt displaced. Like the guy who'd been building the ship was now being asked to swab the deck. Don't be mopey, she said. You know I'll need your brain on this. And she did. I was made the lead UX architect under her project management. The team respected me, but I could feel the dynamic shift. Suddenly, she was in meetings where I used to be the point of contact. She was the one presenting to executives, while I updated Jira boards. Still, I pushed it down. I loved her. We'd built this life together. Then came the product launch. It was a Friday afternoon in mid-October. The main conference room was packed. Internal staff, stakeholders, even 2 C-levels from the client side flew in. Selena was presenting the final iteration of the Vega platform, a digital diagnostic tool for at-home healthcare. I was standing near the projector with a clicker in hand, ready to walk through the user journey slides, when she suddenly stopped and laughed. No, Ian, I'll take it from here, she said. Let's not bore everyone with wireframes and button placements. The room chuckled politely. I smiled tightly and stepped back. But she didn't stop. You call that leadership? She added, addressing no one in particular. No wonder they promoted me instead. Everyone laughed again, except for my team. My direct reports looked mortified. I left the office early that day, drove out to Montrose Beach, and just sat in the car for an hour, staring at the lake. I don't cry easily, but something inside me cracked. Not because she made a joke, but because in that moment, I realized she didn't see me anymore. I was a stepping stone, and I decided I wouldn't be that anymore. 2 weeks later, the twist came. Selena made a fatal mistake. She tried to deploy a major backend feature without testing it properly. She pushed the team to meet an artificial deadline just to impress stakeholders. It backfired hard. The client-side QA team discovered critical security vulnerabilities. Not only that, but the interface she insisted we use caused accessibility issues for users with visual impairments. I'd flagged both issues weeks prior. In writing, a firestorm hit. The client requested a meeting with upper management, and Selena tried to get ahead by throwing the UX team under the bus. But this time, I didn't stay quiet. I compiled emails, Slack messages, Jira updates, all time-stamped, and requested a one-on-one with our CTO, Avery Mendel. Avery was old school. He believed in proof. I gave it to him. 3 days later, Selena was removed from the project. Avery asked me to step in as interim project lead to get Vega back on track before the final client sign-off. The confrontation came during the handover meeting. Selena sat at the conference table with arms folded tightly. Her jaw clenched. I walked in with my team behind me, my laptop under my arm. Ian will walk us through the updated rollout plan, Avery said flatly. Selena stood. You've got to be kidding me. I turned to her calmly. You call that leadership? I asked, mimicking her words from 2 weeks ago. No wonder they replaced you. She stared at me, eyes glassy. For a moment, she looked like she might say something venomous. Instead, she just lowered her gaze and sat down. She didn't speak for the rest of the meeting. That night, she didn't come home. I found out the next morning she had checked into a hotel. 2 days later, I got a text. I'm sorry. I went too far. I don't know who I've become lately. I didn't reply. It's been 6 months. The Vega project launched successfully. I'm now officially leading product development across 2 verticals. Selena took a sabbatical, citing burnout. She moved out in January. The divorce is in progress. Funny thing is, I don't feel victorious. I feel awake. People assume revenge is satisfying. It's not. It's just a door closing behind you, locking the past in. What I feel now is clarity. In marriage, in work, in life, you teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate. And I finally stopped tolerating being made small so someone else could feel big. My wife humiliated me during a critical work presentation to boost herself. After her decisions nearly sank the project, I took over and salvaged everything. She was demoted, and we're now divorcing. I didn't want revenge, I wanted respect. I found it in walking away from what no longer served me. Hi Reddit. I'm not great at venting like this, but I've been sitting with this story for a few months now, and honestly, I need to get it out. Maybe someone's been through something similar. Or maybe I just need strangers to tell me I'm not crazy for how all of this played out. I'm 43. My name's Ian. I live in Oak Park, Chicago. Been in the tech industry for nearly 2 decades, mostly in UX and product design. Not a showboat, not a big ideas kind of guy. I just love making things work. Quietly. Efficiently. My wife, well, now my ex-wife, Selena, is different. Always has been. She's bold, commanding, and insanely ambitious. We met at a UX conference in Denver 12 years ago. I was leading a panel on human-centered design. She was there as part of a startup team demoing a mental health app. I remember watching her talk to investors after her pitch, confident, sharp, like she was 5 steps ahead of everyone in the room. I fell fast. We got married 3 years later. No kids, by choice. We were each other's family, in a way. At least that's how it felt back then. We both ended up working at the same company, Arcozis, a fast-growing Chicago-based firm that does a lot of work with healthcare clients. Not huge like Salesforce or Oracle, but we'd been punching above our weight for years. We'd always been a team. We'd work late nights at the kitchen table, whiteboarding on napkins. She pushed, I refined. She pitched, I executed. I thought we were solid. But somewhere along the way, she started seeing me as beneath her. The beginning of the end was a Thursday night in late August. We were out to dinner at Mia Francesca in Lincoln Park. Selena had been buzzing all day, dropping hints about a big shakeup at work. I figured someone got fired or maybe a new product line was coming. Then she drops it. They're giving me Vega. I blinked. Seriously? Vega was the project. A multi-million-dollar digital diagnostic platform for a national healthcare network. Cloud-based, AI-driven, wearable integration. Basically the tech version of the Holy Grail. Yup, she said, eyes glittering. Project lead. Full control. I'll be presenting to execs next month. I raised my glass. That's incredible, babe. You deserve it. She smiled, but there was something smug behind it. You'll still be on the team, though? UX needs you. It hit weird. Like being handed a broom after building the house. Fast forward to mid-October. Product launch day. The main conference room was packed. Arcozis employees, execs from our client, even a few journalists. Selena stood front and center, sharp in a blazer, speaking like a TED Talk vet. I was supposed to walk everyone through the core UX workflows and show how we'd improved diagnostic speed by 28%. I was halfway to the projector when she raised her hand. Oh, Ian, hang back. I'll handle this part. No need to bore everyone with button placements. People chuckled. Then she said it. You call that leadership? She added, looking right at me. No wonder they promoted me instead. The room laughed. My face flushed. I laughed too. Quietly, because what the heck else do you do in that moment? But inside, something broke. The meeting ended. People clapped. Selena basked in it. I left early. I drove to Montrose Beach and sat in my car for hours, staring at the lake. I replayed that moment over and over. You call that leadership? We used to lift each other up. Now I was a prop in her performance. The silence in the car that evening felt heavier than it should have. 2 weeks later, karma kicked the door in. Selena, in her rush to impress, had pushed a major backend update live without full QA. I'd flagged concerns, twice actually. There were unresolved security issues, and our design wasn't accessible for users with visual impairments. She ignored the warnings. It blew up. The client's QA team caught the vulnerabilities. Users were locked out. 2 patients couldn't access their health data through the interface because the screen readers couldn't parse the UI. It became a full-on crisis. Instead of owning it, Selena panicked. She blamed us, the UX team, threw us under the bus in an emergency call with senior leadership. Only this time, I wasn't going to let it slide. I pulled every receipt. Slack logs, Jira tickets, emails. I laid it all out. Timestamps, user reports, internal warnings. I scheduled a quiet meeting with our CTO, Avery Mendel. Avery's not the kind of guy who goes on gut feelings. He deals in facts. I gave him a folder full. 3 days later, Selena was removed from Vega, and Avery asked me to step in. The handover meeting was surreal. I walked in with my team. Selena was already seated, arms crossed, staring at the far wall. Avery said, Ian will lead the revised roadmap going forward. She scoffed. Seriously? Him. I met her eyes, calm as I could. You call that leadership? I said. No wonder they replaced you. Silence. For the first time in a long time, I saw something crack in her expression. Not rage. Not pride. Just pain. She didn't say another word. That night, she didn't come home. I didn't reach out. 2 days later, I got a text. I messed up. I don't know when I stopped seeing you as a partner. I'm sorry. I stared at the message for a long time. I didn't reply. Weeks passed. The Vega relaunch went well. We fixed the bugs, tightened the flow, ran updated user tests with accessible components. The client was thrilled. I got a promotion, Director of Product Innovation. Selena filed for a sabbatical citing stress and health concerns. HR didn't push. I came home one afternoon and her stuff was gone. Just like that. What's weird is, I don't feel triumphant. People think revenge is this satisfying, cinematic thing. But it's not. It's lonely. Quiet. It's just absence. The house is emptier now. The fridge still has her favorite almond milk in it. Her yoga mat is rolled up in the coat closet. But the air feels different. Lighter somehow. I finally feel seen again. The day after Selena officially moved out, I walked into the kitchen and stood there like I didn't know what to do. For years, she'd been the first one up, coffee brewing, some Spotify playlist humming in the background. Her favorite mug, UX Queen, ironically, always left in the sink. It was quiet now. Too quiet. I stood there holding the fridge door open, staring at untouched almond milk and a half-used jar of fancy mustard she swore by. I closed it, leaned on the counter, and just existed for a few minutes. I should have felt free. I mean, I did a little. But mostly, I felt like I was wearing someone else's jacket. Familiar, but not quite right. Work became my anchor. The Vega team pulled long hours. We redesigned the patient dashboard from the ground up. I brought in Amina, our most talented junior dev, to lead front end. Empowered people. Listened. The kind of leadership I used to think Selena and I shared. Turns out, I just never let myself see how different we'd become. One night, after we wrapped testing, Amina lingered behind as everyone filed out. Hey, can I say something? She asked. Of course. She looked nervous. What you did? Taking over like that. You saved us. You gave us space to actually do our jobs. I just nodded. Thanks. But also, she hesitated, that meeting? When Selena, you know. That wasn't okay. None of it was. I know. I used to look up to her, Amina admitted. Still kinda do. But that day? It was like watching someone rip the floor out from under you and laugh about it. She left, and I just sat there, her words sitting heavier than the silence she left behind. 3 weeks later, I got a call from Selena's sister, Maribel. We were never close. She always seemed to tolerate me more than like me. But now her voice was tight, cautious. She's not doing great, she said. I didn't respond. She's staying with me in Evanston. She's not really talking much. I closed my eyes. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm not calling to guilt you, Ian, she added quickly. She brought this on herself. God knows I told her she was being an bastard. I let out a soft laugh despite myself. You did? Oh, trust me, she said. We had a full-on screaming match about it. But she still talks about you. Still asks how the project's going. I didn't know what to say to that. She said you looked at her like she was a stranger that day in the boardroom. Maribel continued. Maybe she was. Long pause. I think she hates herself right now, she said quietly. But she won't say it out loud. Selena emailed me the next day. Subject. I know I don't deserve a reply. I'm not reaching out to get back together. I just wanted you to know I'm in therapy. Twice a week. Not just for what I did to you, but because somewhere along the way, I lost the version of myself you loved. I'm trying to find her again, even if it's just for me now. Thank you for not retaliating. You could have ruined me, and you didn't. That grace, it says more about you than anything I ever said about you in that room. I didn't reply, not because I was angry, but because, for once, silence felt like the kindest thing. Life slowly reshaped itself. I started taking walks again, actually sitting down for breakfast instead of rushing out the door. I bought new sheets, rearranged the living room, moved her books into a storage bin, but left one on the coffee table, designing with empathy. She loved that one. I always thought it was ironic. On Sundays, I'd visit my mom on the south side. She never liked Selena much. She didn't say, I told you so, but she didn't have to. We'd sit on the porch drinking coffee and watching neighbors walk their dogs, her cane tapping idly on the wood planks. You look better, she said one morning. Thanks. She raised an eyebrow. Tired, but better. Work trips started again. I went to San Francisco for a week-long conference in February. Gave a talk about user psychology and ethical design. The applause felt different this time. Earned, not stolen. Afterwards, an attendee approached me. Carla, from a Boston-based startup. Mid-30s, sharp as hell, asked smart questions. We had drinks later with a few others, nothing flirtatious, just professional. But when she laughed at one of my dumb jokes, I felt this weird pang in my chest. Not attraction, really. Just proof that I still existed outside the version of myself Selena had tried to box me into. It hit me again that night in the hotel, brushing my teeth while looking at my reflection. I wasn't trying to prove anything anymore. About a month after San Francisco, I ran into one of Selena's old friends at a grocery store in Forest Park. It was Callie, tall, red scarf, always carried herself like she'd just walked out of an indie movie. We used to see her and her partner, Sean, maybe twice a month. Dinner parties, art gallery nights, the occasional double date. But after everything happened, they vanished from both our lives. I never asked why. Ian, she said, blinking like she wasn't sure if she should acknowledge me. Callie, hey. She looked down at her basket. Almond flour, blueberries, oat milk. So, how's the project? I hesitated. It launched. We're in phase 2 now. Data calibration, user retention metrics. You know the drill. She gave a small smile. Of course you pulled it off. We stood there awkwardly for a beat. She's still kind of a mess, you know, she said suddenly, quietly. I didn't respond. I'm not saying that to guilt you, she added quickly, holding her hands up. Honestly, I told her she was wrong about everything. You didn't deserve that. That surprised me. She told you. I asked. Callie nodded. Bits and pieces. She glosses over the worst of it, but the guilt's there. She's unraveling it in therapy, I think. I nodded, unsure what else to say. She said she thought you'd be the one to snap first, Callie continued, grabbing a box of tea from the shelf. But you didn't, and that somehow made it worse. That night, I sat on the back porch with a beer in my laptop. It was cold, but the air helped me think. I opened an old shared photo album, one I hadn't touched since the day she moved out. It was full of moments I'd forgotten. Selena in the mountains near Aspen, hair whipped by the wind, arms outstretched. Selena asleep on the couch with our old cat, Frida, curled into her side. Selena drunk on our anniversary, dancing barefoot in our living room to The Cure. We weren't always toxic, but those images felt like pictures of someone I used to know. Someone who slipped away so slowly, I didn't notice until she was gone. And maybe I did the same. The next few weeks were quiet. My days were structured. Up by 6:30. Run. Shower. Coffee. Emails. Meetings. Headphones in. Lunch at my desk. Keep moving. I wasn't avoiding pain. I just didn't want it to catch me off guard. It still did, sometimes. Like when I found one of her scarves in the hall closet, buried under an old tote bag. Or when I heard her laugh on an old voice memo I'd saved during a brainstorm session. I'd forgotten how warm it used to sound when it wasn't aimed like a weapon. And sometimes, I'd catch myself wondering if I could have prevented any of it. If I'd fought harder, sooner, louder. But then I remembered, I did fight. I just stopped when the only person I was fighting for had already left. At work, people had stopped talking about the Vega handover. A few new hires didn't even know Selena had been part of it. She was now just a name on a document trail. A story whispered in onboarding over beers. There were days I missed the spark she used to bring to the room. The way she'd challenge an idea until it either shattered or solidified into gold. But mostly, I missed the version of her who used to sit beside me at 2 a.m. with takeout containers between us, sketching prototypes and finishing each other's sentences. That version hadn't existed for a long time. One Saturday morning in March, I was having coffee at a little place in Logan Square, Spoken Cafe, a place we used to go together. I wasn't trying to chase nostalgia. I just liked the avocado toast there. A little girl at the next table dropped her chocolate milk, and her mom, probably late 30s, tired but patient, wiped it up and smiled like it was just another part of her day. I watched them for a moment, then turned my gaze out the window, and I realized something. I'd stopped waiting for Selena to walk back into places like this. For weeks, maybe months, part of me would scan every restaurant, every corner, wondering if I'd see her. But that day, I didn't think about it until I realized I hadn't thought about it. Something had shifted. Back at the office, we started preparing for a new initiative, Vega's integration with wearable health trackers. I pulled in some of the old team, but also brought in new faces. The vibe had changed. It felt collaborative again. Real. No politics. No power plays. Avery pulled me aside after a meeting one afternoon. You've rebuilt something here, he said. Thanks. I mean it. The culture. The clarity. It's working. He paused. I know what happened with Selena was complicated, but you stayed calm. That's rare. I didn't know how to respond. So I just said, it's easier to lead when no one's trying to prove they're better than everyone else. He nodded. You ever think about taking a VP track? It caught me off guard. I hadn't, I said honestly. Well, start thinking, he replied and walked off. That night, I stood on the balcony, phone in hand, staring at an unsent message to Selena. Not a miss you text. Just a short, human one. Just wanted you to know, Vega's thriving. You helped lay the foundation. Despite everything, I haven't forgotten that. I hovered over send. Then I locked the screen and slipped the phone into my pocket. Some things don't need replies. Some stories are better left paused.